In this lesson, we'll be looking at circle basics, circumference and area formulas. You will be able to apply the formula for area and circumference of the circle and calculate the diameter using Pythagorean's theorem as needed. We will also be incorporating a little trig problem in here too to find the diameter. A lot of this first part of this lesson is vocabulary and terms and how to write things about a circle. So we'll do that first part in this, all the vocabulary. So you look at this first picture and it says use the word bank to label parts of the circle. Well, we're going to look at their descriptions first at the bottom of the page. Then we'll come back to this. So the first term is a circle. What is a circle? A circle is basically all points equidistant, the same distance from a given point called the center. It separates a plane into three sections: interior, exterior, and the circle itself. So if we go back to this picture, here's the center, and all these points on the circle are the same distance from the center. We'll see it's called, the radius is the actual distance away from the center it is. And then we have an inside here. The interior of the circle is inside, and then the exterior is out here, and then on the circle itself is right here. So those are the three parts: interior, exterior, and on the circle. Let's look at our next term. Next term is the radius. Is a segment, a piece of a line, a segment with one endpoint on the center and one endpoint on the circle. And it says in our picture AC is a radius. So from the center to a point on the circle. And AC, yes, there it goes from the center to a point on the circle. There's other radius, radii as they call them here. Another one would be CB, is also a radius, or CD, that's a radius also. So this one's pointing to this radius right here. You're going to show that's a radius. And the next term, and again, if I go too fast, pause it whenever you need to. If you don't understand something, please call me over. So we've done radius and circle. Let's look at this next one, is a diameter. A diameter is a segment that goes through the center. So again, it's a piece of a line, segment that goes through the center with both endpoints on the circle. So if we look at this picture, it has to go through the center and both endpoints are on the circle. That's BD. Segment BD is a diameter. This one's pointing into it right here. And then the rest of these, so we have the radius, the diameter. This one right here is pointing at the center of the circle. This point right here is reminding us, that's the outside or the exterior. That's a point on the exterior of the circle, the outside. This one right here is what? On the inside of the circle, interior. Of course, D, B, and A are on the circle. The center is also considered a point on the interior of the circle. It's not on the circle, it's not on the outside, but it is inside of it. So get all those copied in. We'll go to the next part. So here's an example where we're going to start naming some things. And let's see. So pay attention to this, because if we have to type it in the computer, you may have to write it a little different way than I wrote it up here. To name a circle is named by its center point. The center of this circle is Q. So one way, when you're writing it on paper, they usually put a circle symbol and then the center point, circle Q. Now most of the time, if we have to type it in on the computer, we're going to use the word circle and then use what the center is, circle Q. Okay. Same with these segments when I name them. Let's see, a radii is a segment. What does it go? From the center to a point on the circle. So one of them is QT here. Then I look at the center and there's another one right here, QP. And if you're writing them on paper, you use the segment symbol up on top. Okay, segment QP, capital letters, segment QT. If you don't have that on the computer, can't write the segment symbol, you're going to write the word, segment QP, or segment QT. Then it asks, what is the length of any radius? Radius is halfway across, going from the center to here. I see it's labeled right here, 16 units. This radius would also be 16. Any radius is 16. That's where the circle gets that equidistance from the center. Any radius would be 16. What would be the length of any diameter of this circle? So a diameter, there isn't one drawn in here. I don't know why. But it goes all the way across through the center. And it's like having two of these radii. So 16 plus 16 would make 32, or 2 times the radius is the diameter. Name all the interior points. So here's the inside. We got R, Q, and S in there. Name all the exterior points. I only see one on the outside. These are on the circle. So on the outside is point X. So there's that one. Naming some things from the picture. Now we get to some new terms here. So I'll look at their descriptions and then we'll go back to this picture. A chord is a segment whose endpoints are on the circle. That diameter is the longest chord. In the picture, there's a chord segment DB. Remember, this is a segment. Later in these other things, they're going to be lines or rays or something. But a chord is just a segment. So let's look at DB. DB right here, so that's our chord. Now you'll see later that this is going to be something different, but you can talk about just the segment EA instead of the whole line EA. Segment EA is also a chord, but the line EA is called something else. We'll see it in a minute. So we did our chord. Let's see. Secant is a line or a ray that intersects a circle at 2 points. So it's a little different, you know, the chord is a segment, whereas a secant is a line or a ray. So in our picture, they say it's EA. Let's look at it. EA, here was our chord, was a segment, but EA, line EA, is called a secant. Again, just the segment part of it, EA, could be a chord, but the whole line is called a secant. And it could even be a ray. It could start here at E and go towards A. Ray EA was a secant, or ray EAE. So what's the difference between a chord and a secant? A chord is just the segment. A secant is a whole line or half of a line, like a ray. What's the next one? So we've done that. So the next one is a tangent. Tangent is a line or segment or ray that intersects the circle in exactly 1 point. It can only touch the circle at 1 point. It can be a line, a segment, or a ray. In the picture, it is line L. They didn't have 2 letters on this line to name it with 2 letters, but here's the L, naming this line right here, and you can see it touches 1 point, point T. So here's where we're pointing at the line right here. And so that's the tangent. You'll see what the point is called in a minute. So we've got these 3 so far. The last one, whoops, is the point of tangency. I'll put all these back up here in a minute so you can pause it if you haven't gotten them all. The intersection, point of tangency is the intersection of a tangent line and the circumference or the outside of the circle. It's that point where they touch. It says it's called point T in our picture. Let's go back. And yes, point T is where this line touches this circle at this 1 point, and that is called the point of tangency. Here's all these in case you didn't get them. The chord, the secant, which is a line, the tangent line, or the tangent, and the point of tangency. Also back here, I'll just put these back up. Here's these fill in the blanks if you needed to catch up on those. Pause it when you need to. Let's take the next part. The examples of naming some things. Alright, so the center of the circle, okay, is that point O? All radii. So I start at the center. I know a radii goes from the center to on the circle, so there's one. O-N, O-R, O-M. There's 3 of them. All chords. Alright. So let's see. I know the diameter is a chord. It's the longest chord. It goes from M to N, and that the chords are segments, so I name it like a segment. MN. Also, this line is actually called a secant, but you can talk about just the segment part is a chord. Segment MT is a chord. Is OR a chord? No, it only has one point on the circle. Both points have to be on the circle. One is on the center. So a radius is not a chord. All secants, well, this line right here, MT. So I put the line symbol above, or you can write the word line, MT. Same with these. If it's just a segment, write the word segment if you don't have the segment symbol. Diameter is that chord that goes through the center, so MN. Remember that it's twice as big, or it takes 2 of the radii to make a diameter. Tangent, a line or segment or a ray that touches the circle at one point. Here it is. Here's our tangent line. There's several ways you can name this. I just use these 2 points, P and S, line PS. Put the little line symbol above it, or write the word line. The point of tangency is the point where the tangent line or tangent touches the circle. The point of tangency is Q there. Alright, so again, a bunch of terms and pictures here for the terms to look at. That is going to be the end of part 1. I'll have a quick check with these terms and naming them. Remember, if you can't draw the symbol, write the word, like line PS or segment ON. Okay? Good luck with the quick check.